All right, good morning, everybody. Please bear with me as I'm not the most technologically savvy person, but I'm doing my best here. If everyone can just let me know if you're seeing the slide that says Community Development Block Grant Program. Is that up for everybody?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So I did that part right. We are recording today's session so that we can post it on the website for later reference for everybody. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get it up by the end of the day tomorrow. So the slides from we're going to start out with a quick recap of our needs hearing that happened yesterday, so that if we have new folks on the phone or on Zoom, they're able to additionally, express any community needs that they see, so we can log it into our public record. So those slides will be up there, as well as this recording for folks to be able to reference back to if there's any questions that they still have as far as the application. All right, so this is a training session for the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Program application for Abington Township. You know what? That's really funny. Apparently, these slides still need to be updated even further. This here says that it's the 2022 annual action plan needs hearing, but this is actually our 2023 program year that we're going to be working with. So, Abington CDBG program. We're going to just go through this. This is our quick agenda that we went through yesterday for our needs hearing. We'll cover what the program is. We'll let you guys know what we put in our 2021 action plan. That plan ended September 30th, 2022. We'll go over our CAPER real quick. That's a year-end report that the township has to submit to HUD on activities in a certain program year. As I mentioned, we'll solicit for community input for the 2023 action plan, just to make sure that all folks are able to log their needs, the community needs that they're seeing, into the public record. We'll review the schedule for everybody as well, which I think will especially be important for our applicants. And then we'll conclude that part and move into the actual application. So the Community Development Block Grant Program, also known as CDBG, is a program that's funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Abington's an entitlement community, which means that we get an annual stipend every single year directly from HUD. This allows us to support community development activities with the main purpose of building stronger and more resilient communities and improving the quality of life here in Abington. And our typical projects include economic development, public improvements, whether they're public buildings, privately owned buildings also that are for public use, infrastructure improvements like stormwater or sidewalk improvements, and housing and human service projects and programs. This program through HUD is designed to principally benefit low and moderate income people. The guidelines for those low and moderate income people are defined by the federal government. They put out new thresholds every single year. The last one that was put out in June of last year puts a family of 4 as earning an income of $84,300 or less. There's also neighborhoods that have been designated as having a higher percentage of those income qualified families usually it's done through the American Community Survey, which is done every 5 years, and is done by the block groups, as defined by our census. And those neighborhoods who have been deemed as having that higher percentage of low and moderate income residents, those areas are also eligible to use these funds. For Abington, this is also really important for our applicants. We identified in our 5-year consolidated plan, which was submitted to HUD in 2021, these 6 needs, excuse me, that we're focusing on as part of our strategy to improve the quality of life here in Abington. We have a really strong housing need here in Abington to provide a decent, safe, sanitary, and affordable housing. Coupled with that is a need to prevent and serve homeless folks experiencing homelessness or at risk of experiencing homelessness. There's also a strong need to provide housing and services for folks with special needs. Those could include folks with physical, mental disabilities, seniors, or folks experiencing the effects of an AIDS infection. We have a community development need to improve our community facilities, infrastructure, and services. An economic development need. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And then also a need for to fund the administration and planning for the program as well. So all of the projects that we fund through CDBG should fit within these 6 needs. For our 2021 action plan, we focused on 3 areas. We had obviously our administration, planning, and management that allows the township to pay for these kinds of activities that we're doing now and to support any of our community partners in their endeavors to utilize this funding. We also invested heavily in public facilities and infrastructure. Those included some public parks as well as a sidewalk improvement project. We also invested in a technical assistance program to establish a neighborhood revitalization strategic area. And this is an example of an economic development activity as well. So for our 2021 year-end report, the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report, as I mentioned, that year ran from October 2021 through September 30th, 2022. You'll notice that our program years don't exactly line up with the calendar year. So that can get a little bit confusing. Right now with our 2023 program year, for which you're all here to participate, that starts October 1st, 2023, and will run through September 30th of 2024. So this CAPER provides information on how we use the funds that were received in the 2021 program year, and also shows that the money that we used in that program year was really focused on reuse and rehabilitation projects around our housing stock, which, as you saw, was one of the main priorities for the township in its use of CDBG funds. We also prioritize the projects to improve our public facilities and public infrastructure. Because we are going to open this back up for folks who were not able to attend the public needs hearing or haven't had a chance to get their comments in writing, we're going to open this up for folks to express any needs that they may see in the community for the upcoming year. We are going to limit it to comments for the annual action plan for 2023. As I mentioned, we'll take comments by phone, email, letter, and during this hearing. There we go. And needs can be expressed through any for anything that you guys see, whether it is a program idea, and a literal need that you're seeing that you would like to see met, some opportunities for improvement that folks might be seeing, and even some options for community partners. And this is open to general community members for Abington, so folks that live, work in, own businesses, operate organizations that serve Abington. So what I'm going to do here, if anyone does have an additional comment that they'd like to make please just raise your hand. And we'll log your need into the public record. There should be a little button on your control panel at the bottom of your screen that has like a little yellow or brown hand to be able to raise. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, we got one. There we go. Marisol, if you'd love to let us know what needs you see, please let us know.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I run a business here in Abington. And I definitely would like to be able to kind of collect some ideas. I'm not ready to like share any of them right now. Can I send that via email later to you?
You definitely can. So we will be accepting any comments that you'd like to make for needs. We'll accept them by phone, email, letter, and today as well. You're more than welcome to submit them however you like.
And then the deadline for that, so that it's your.
So the deadline for applications is March 17th. So for us to be able to best, respond to any needs or opportunities that you're seeing, I would recommend getting them in by that time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. All right, seeing no other hands in the gallery, I'm going to move on and there we go. I go on to our schedule. So this is certainly very important for all of our applicants that are involved or wish to be involved in the CDBG application process. Yesterday, as I mentioned, we had our public hearing number 1, which we commonly call our needs hearing. Because I know that there were a lot of folks who were unable to attend. We extended an additional kind of mini session today. That is a requirement of the township from HUD in order to utilize this funding. Today is our application training session, so thank you all so much for attending. Those applications, as I mentioned, are due on March 17th by 4 p.m. We will not consider applications that are submitted after 4 p.m. on March 17th. In May, we're going to have preliminary decisions internally made on how we're going to be awarding those grants to our potential subrecipients. And we will then put together a draft of that action plan and circulate it to the Board of Commissioners for their review. If they give us, an okay to move forward with the information that we've presented them, we'll be making those informal awards to those successful applicants sometime probably toward the end of May. In June, we'll go on public display of the draft of that annual action plan. Again, this is a requirement from HUD. We have to have that draft on display for 30 days. We'll have a hard copy here in the township building, as well as a draft available online for folks to be able to see as well. In that period, we'll have our public hearing number 2 on June 16th to be able to get public comment on that draft. Similarly with our needs hearing, those comments during the draft display period can also be submitted by letter, email, phone, or in person. On July 13th, we'll compile any comments that we've received and present our final plan for approval to the Board of Commissioners. Hopefully they approve it because we have to submit the final plan to HUD by August 15th for their review. Successful applications, as I mentioned, they'll be those organizations will be informally made aware of their selection by it's probably towards the end of May. We can't extend a formal notification until after the Board of Commissioners approves that action plan. We're just frankly not legally able to do that. And formal contracts will be extended, likely within the months of September and October for any of those partners to be signed and move forward in that way. And again, this schedule will be posted to the website, hopefully by the end of tomorrow, so that everyone is able to refer back to it if need be. So again, I know a lot of you probably do already have my contact information just based on your attendance here today. But if you need it, my contact information is in the slide deck as well. I also do have a program assistant. Her name is Melissa Schofield. She was unable to attend today, but she's also available to be able to answer any questions that folks have as well. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing that as I shift into the application itself. So just bear with me one moment. Does anybody have any questions right now as I just kind of get us set up for the application section? And feel free to raise your hand or just do a shout out since I'm kind of juggling a few things here. All right, so I am going to share, here we go. I'm going to go with the township website real quick, just so everybody is able to just understand where our information is. So there's two ways that you can access the information for the CDBG program. You can either go directly to our website, abingtonpa.gov, and you can type in /CDBG. That brings you directly to the CDBG page. And so you'll see on this page what qualifies as low to moderate income. This has unfortunately the 2018 income limits. So we'll update that for you, hopefully in the next couple of days. But it has a lot of information in here to help you guys all get started. You'll see on here, direct link to the application is here. And then since we have a lot of nonprofits that run food pantry programs, we also do have a current program with rolling admission for our CV program. So that's another option for folks as well that I just wanna point out. Here is the public notice for our current sessions. And you can see some of our past documentation here. So here's the annual action plan for 2022. That full CAPER report that we talked about earlier is here. And this might be able to help give some of you ideas about, how to more strongly structure any programs or activities that you're looking to endeavor under CDBG funding. I just saw something I wanted to point out. And I lost it. Oh, here it is. So you'll see here, we've got the 5-year consolidated plan. That was what I pointed out before that showed the township's strategic priorities for that 5-year period. Another thing to note is that at the same time, we did a 5-year analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. So if any of you are looking to do any fair housing activities, or any housing activities, excuse me, I should say, this is definitely worth a look here. And I've also got it, it's very nice, it's readable. So it shouldn't be a problem. Let's see. Any questions on this before I move into the application itself? All right, so I'm hoping everybody can now see the application if I'm navigating Zoom correctly. So as you saw, we had that link. I know a lot of folks, we also were able to send the link or the attachment with the application out directly. This should be a fillable PDF, so you can type right into it. This application can be sent to us either hard copy or by email. It's really up to you. The important thing is that we receive it by March 17th, 2023 before 4 p.m. I can't stress this enough. We will not consider late applications. It would not be fair. So please make sure that if you're interested in applying for funding, that you put that funding, that application for funding in before 4 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day. I see a hand raised. Ms. Epperson, feel free to ask your question.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah.
I have a question because the printing is so small.
Oh.
Is there a requirement that budgets, oh, thank you so much. Is there a requirement that budgets, projected budgets be attached to the application?
You know, that is a great question. Certainly a project budget needs to be included. Your calendar year 2024 budget does not, like your organizational budget does not.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, so please feel free again. I'm glad that popped up for me. I'm always so worried that it doesn't always pop up when people raise a hand. So if you do have a question, please feel free to interrupt me and ask your question. Most of what's on this application, I hope, is pretty self-explanatory. But you'll see your organization name. That is the organization under which you will be conducting the activity. I know a lot of us wear a lot of different hats, and I just want to make sure that we're clear about that. It doesn't have to be your primary organization, but certainly the organization under which you will be executing your proposed activity. The one-line description of project, that is certainly something that we can change the name of later if you don't like the way that you've worded it on the application and you're successful with your application. But it's really just so that we have an easy way to be able to identify your project. So who can I pick on the call? So Jerome Mitchell from the Willow Grove CDC is on here. And I know that they do frequent rehab projects. So for this project, I would, recommend potentially something along the lines of Willow Grove CDC housing rehabilitation activity, something like that. Just a nice, succinct way. It doesn't have to be, an exciting, marketing kind of driven title, just something to be able to help us more clearly identify your project. So the address of the project site, again, I know that a lot of us have multiple addresses for our activities. For something, like a food pantry, it would be the site of that food pantry. If there are multiple sites, I would probably elect to go with your main address for your organization. If your organization is located outside of Abington Township, it would probably serve you best to use the addresses for the sites that are in Abington Township, if there's multiple sites within Abington Township. For something like the Willow Grove CDC, again, with those, and I'm sorry, Jerome, I'm picking on you today, but do your best to list the specific sites for those houses within the township, because down below you'll see that we have the organization contact information as well. I know we have a lot of organizations where their headquarters are outside of the township, but they provide services and have locations within the township as well. All right. So for grant administrator, some of us are lucky enough to have someone on our staff that administers grants. If you're not, and it's the executive director, that's fine too. We just want to make sure that we're communicating with the right people about the correct things. Oops. So federal ID, that's typically your tax ID number. SAM is the federal system for award management. In order for you to receive federal funding, you must be registered under the SAM system, which I'm sorry, that was such a redundant way to say that, but you must be registered on SAM in order to receive funding. That's not a requirement that I put forth. That is a federal requirement for the use of this funding. Some folks might remember the DUNS number. It's similar to the SAM's number. It's just that the DUNS number was phased out. And I think this year it's finally officially completely dead. So if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to me or Melissa, and we'll walk you through that. But you can see the website is right here. You don't even have to try to copy and paste it. It'll just allow you to go right to it if you click on there. Oops. Ms. Epperson had asked about the budget. So this is, our quick and dirty budget for that we're asking for this project. If the amount of your request is, I know some folks do receive other federal, state, and even local grants to help fund their activities. We are interested in knowing the source and amount of those, and complementary funds are a good thing, not a bad thing. So please make sure that you are putting that information in honestly and accurately as available. And then since I hope that you're experiencing a dearth of private funding, if you are going to be using any of the private funding that you're able to receive through your organization for these activities as well, please let us know in that, so that we know what our total project cost will be. If this is a project that's ongoing, I don't think that we actually have any. We only have one open project right now with a subrecipient. So if if for some reason this project has received past Abington funds, just let us know. If you're not sure, let's talk about it. Feel free to, again, call us or email us, and we'll see what we can do to make sure that we're answering that question accurately. Again, the expected time frame, pretty self-explanatory. And this is really just your best estimate. As someone who's dealing with construction projects, I know how difficult sometimes it is to estimate when your project is going to be able to really start and conclude. But please just do your best. Let's see. Oh, this is a big one. So all of the projects under CDBG must meet at least one national objective. And we talked about this a little bit before. The most common one that we do is making sure that it's benefiting residents with low or moderate incomes. And this is something that is going to be serving individual people. So food pantry activities, affordable housing activities. What else do we do that has individual? Those are probably the two big ones that we endeavor in currently at the township. Aids in the elimination of our slums or blight. Those are, if there's an abandoned building that someone is looking to rehabilitate. Meets community needs that have a particular urgency because those conditions pose an immediate threat to public health or welfare. These are typically things where, there's a brownfield site. There's an asbestos an asbestos dumping site, that's leaching into the water, something like that. And it says here, use only in consultation with the township. And that's because, typically these kinds of conditions have a whole lot more, litany of hoops to jump through. So we want to make sure that we're working, with all of the proper agencies, to solve that problem, before we move forward with that. Or is planning, is a planning or fair housing project. So those are the four things. If you're not sure what national objective your project falls under, again, call me, email me, or Melissa, and we'll talk about your project a little bit more in depth and see, which one would probably be the best selection for you to choose. If you do choose the LMI national objective, that's our low and moderate income. We just want to make sure that we're using, again, the proper classification on this. So as I mentioned, you can either have folks under a low and moderate income individual process or a low and moderate income area process. The individual ones are the ones that would be for, a single household. The area ones would be our wider infrastructure projects, typically our sidewalk projects, senior projects can fall into that, but there's also another classification for that. In Abington, our census block group threshold is to have a percentage of 40.59% low and moderate income folks within a block group area. Again, if you're not sure if it fits that, give us a call. This is probably one of the trickiest things for folks new to this program to figure out. So we'll figure it out and we'll let you know what census tract and block group number also might be in that. The project serves an area that's smaller than a block group. Again, it says here, call the township. We will help you through that as well. That's usually, this would be I can't even think of an instance in which we would use this rather than the whole block group, if we're gonna use an area calculation. But give us a call and we'll figure it out together. This project will serve a group of persons who are presumed eligible for assistance. And so this is just looking at the names on here. I think a lot of folks on here do typically serve these groups. These are seniors, adults with disabilities. Adults with disabilities, a lot of times we get questions about whether or not children with disabilities qualify, and unfortunately they do not. It's adults with disabilities. Veterans that are experiencing homelessness or other folks who are experiencing homelessness, battered spouses, abused, neglected children and youth, illiterate adults, and this is complete illiteracy, not just specific to English language literacy. Migrant farm workers, persons with HIV or AIDS, and persons who use food banks or meal programs. And then the last one is the project that will serve specific persons or households. And this is something that we're able to help you guys calculate. And I can also share out, and I'll make sure that I get the website updated with the latest HUD income calculations too. I'm a little embarrassed that it still has our 2018 ones up there, to be honest. But again, if you have a question about which group would be best for you to select on this, please give us a call and we'll talk through your project and help you with that selection. Project beneficiaries. This is really important because this is part of the information that we have to report back to HUD as part of our success metrics. So please be as honest with this as possible. It is not a bad idea to be conservative in your numbers versus aspirational. Just to make sure that we can make sure that we're accurately recording all of this. Again, if you don't know, the trickiest part usually for folks on this is when there's an area-wide benefit. That's when those block groups come into play. We can certainly help you find that information in the American Community Survey or in the census information. So just let us know. And we'll walk you through it. It's not a problem for us. It is either. So for this one here, the form unfortunately gives you the option to select lots of different options. If possible, we'd really appreciate you only choosing one, because typically the federal system only allows us to choose one. But again, if you're not sure who your primary service group is, let us know. We'll talk through it and we'll figure it out. Any questions so far? Feel free to interrupt. All right. So again, for our housing projects, if your project does affirmatively further fair housing choice, please select here and give a brief explanation. And just let us know. Again, I'm going to pick on my friend Jerome Mitchell from the Willow Grove CDC. Certainly affordable housing for renters does that. And I'm sure that they have a statement that they're able to put in there to explain that. If you're doing a food pantry activity, that is very unlikely. Oh, it doesn't let you unselect it. Oh, well. We'll figure that out later if if that's an issue. We can help folks with that. Again, if you have a problem or you're having challenges, trying to best describe this, let us know. We'll see what we can do to help you out. All right. Project narrative. It is underlined and it's italicized because it's really, really important. This must be completed by all applicants. There's absolutely no way that we would be able to properly evaluate a project or activity without having this narrative. It does give you this nice little checklist here. So please make sure that you're addressing each one of these options here so that we're able to best evaluate your activity. If you're having a question, again, about the best way to express one of these things, let us know. We're happy to help you work through that so that you can put forth the strongest application as possible. If you do need more space, because I know that this isn't necessarily all the space that some of you are going to need, you are more than welcome. And it doesn't have to be a Word document, but it should be a typed document so that I can read it. But feel free to append additional pages as necessary to accurately describe your project. The project budget, we talked about that. It's really just could be just a nice Excel spreadsheet that just details all of the things that you're going to be spending money on and about how much you think you'll be spending on that. As it says for construction projects, an itemized signed cost estimate from a qualified professional showing all costs, including engineering. So if it is a construction project, that could come from an architect, from an engineer. If it is, I do recommend for folks who are going into capital improvements on a building, that they work with an architect versus directly with a contractor, because you will need to have signed and sealed documents anyway to get the proper permits in the township. So it's a good idea to just to start with this kind of estimate with an architect anyhow. If the CDBG funds, this is pretty self-explanatory, but just, highlight on that what items will be covered by CDBG. If you have the staffing costs there, just let us know what costs you're looking to be, which employees you're looking for us to reimburse on that. And if you are looking to have administrative costs reimbursed, just let us know what those administrative costs are. Oh, and this is really important. Administrative costs do not include project delivery costs. So, for a food pantry, for instance, if you have someone whose job it is to run the food pantry, their costs are not, would not be a separate administrative cost. They could be rolled into those food pantry costs. They would be considered a project deliverable. Oh, if anyone's going to be doing any construction photos, please just, get some nice photos so that we're able to best document and envision the project you're looking to do. If you need a FEMA firm panel map, we're able to direct you to the FEMA resources so that you're able to get that. Again, give us a call. If you need help finding the census block group map, again, please give us a call. Sometimes they're a little bit tricky to pull out, which I deal with them on a weekly basis, and I still find them tricky to pull. So give us a call and let us know. With construction projects, there's a lot of extra hoops because of the labor standards that exist with the federal government. So again, just pay attention to this. If you're having problems pulling the latest Davis-Bacon or PA prevailing wage rate sheets, again, just let me know. We're happy to direct you in the right way to get that information as well. Procurement is really important, and this is for all applicants. Procurement is, if folks don't know, it's the process of getting your goods. We need to make sure that folks are meeting the proper thresholds and guidelines for the federal and local laws that are out there when purchasing services, supplies, materials, or equipment. We can talk through that if you have questions on it. Abington is a first-class township under Pennsylvania code. So that means that for projects of $25,000 and above, everything must go out for a formal bid. For folks underneath that, there's a little bit more nuance. So give us a call and we'll help walk you through that. Engineering and professional services, this would fall like architectural design for folks who are doing construction service, any sort of construction project. These do have to be procured competitively, but it is a slightly different process because those can be put out through proposals and not straight bid, because we do understand that materials have a different, it's a little bit more apples to apples, where with design services, certainly there's an experience and talent factor that needs to be considered. But if you are looking to do something in that realm, reach out to us and we can talk about what those proper procedures and requirements are. So here, I think this is all pretty self-explanatory too, but feel free to ask questions. Environmental review, any construction projects do have to go up for environmental review. That again is a process that we can certainly help you guys with if it's not something that you've endeavored to do before. These are a series of state and federal reviews to make sure that the project that we're doing is not going to present any sort of safety or health hazard. For the most part, for what we're doing. Let's see. Oh, again, permits. I get this question a lot. when we do construction projects. Even if you're receiving funding directly from the township, you must procure permits, the proper permits for your project. If you already have any permits, let us know. A lot of times, folks will do site work and then come to us, or demolition and then come to us for the building aspect of it. If you have any permits that already exist, please list them. If you are anticipating any permits, which you've got a 99% chance that you will if you're doing a construction project, please list them. If you don't know what permits that you're going to need, reach out to us. I'm happy to connect you with one of our code officials, and they can help you figure out which ones that you're likely to need based on the scope of your project as well. This is a big one. So what's really nice, probably the only good thing that I know of that really came out of the COVID-19 pandemic, is that we received here at the township a separate pot of money through the CARES Act. So if you do think that your project might fall into the public service realm, and it does meet any needs that have come out of the pandemic, I highly recommend you to consider applying for the COVID-19 funding. Right now, we already have a line open for food pantry costs. So any folks who are looking to do food pantry activities, I do recommend that you just apply directly through our food pantry activity. But if you are an organization who is meeting any needs that have been created or increased through the COVID-19 pandemic, we do have that money. It's not currently as competitive as our general annual action plan funding. So I do encourage you to look at the COVID-19 funding as well and see if that's something that you might be able to be awarded. If you have a question, if you're not sure if it falls into this area, please call me. I'm more than happy to consider and talk through those projects with you and see if it's a better fit in that area. I mean, just an example of an organization, Abington's. Oh, all right. Sorry about that. We had someone just join. So we had one organization through the Abington Public Library. They found that they had a hugely increased demand for broadband hotspots and broadband enabled devices, both during and following the pandemic. So we were able to steer them into the COVID-19, the CDBG CV funding in order to help them meet that need. And we were able to grant them that funding under that program. So there's definitely some ability in there, some additional funding that we have in there. So if you do have a project or activity that you think meets an increased or created need from the pandemic, give me a call and we'll see if it fits into this bucket as well. All right, so this is our last page. So the certifications and authorizations, again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but this is something that your CEO, your executive director, the president of your board, they should be signing this page. This is not a page for the grant administrator to sign, because it's the legally responsible person that needs to sign this. Please check all of these boxes while you're finishing this. I do highly recommend, it's not light reading, but look into the entitlement grant regulations under 24 CFR Part 570. this just explains a lot of what we've already gone over as far as eligibility for CDBG, but it could be very, very helpful to each of you as you're framing your projects and activities to make sure that that you're going through with this with the best chance for success. This is a really important thing too, for those folks who are, particularly housing, but also for any services, that you're not discriminating in any way against folks who are seeking your services. So frequently, I know a lot of our faith-based organizations offer services. Most do not require any sort of religious participation in order to participate also in whatever program or service they're offering. And that's a good example of what we're looking for. You can't require that someone participate in a particular activity of political, religious, or other social nature, I guess I should say, is the most broad umbrella to put it, in order to participate in your activity. If you have a question about that, if you guys might have some practices around that, that you're just not sure if it would disqualify you, give me a call. We'll talk through it, and we'll see, if unfortunately your organization might be ineligible because of your program requirements. I have read and understand the Township of Abington's analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. That was one of those links that I showed you guys earlier on the abingtonpa.gov/CDBG page. It is again linked here, so you can just click directly on it, and it'll bring you directly to our page. And that just shows what some of the housing needs are. The proposed project will not result in any temporary or permanent displacement of any family, individual, business, blah, blah, blah. This obviously mostly pertains to our housing activities. But if you are endeavoring on a construction project, this is certainly something to consider. Special assessments to recover capital costs will not be made. This just makes sure that this helps us ensure that your organization will remain viable in the long term. If you have a question about this, whether or not that's going to impact your project, again, give us a call. We'll talk through it and we'll let you know, what our assessment is of it. And then this is also a big one. And I don't want to be alarmist, but it is really important to understand that if your organization does not use the funds in the federally required manner, which we've discussed in some detail today, you will be required to repay any funds that you use under the program back to the township. An example of that would be, like the discriminatory practices. If for some reason your organization is requiring someone to, to be of a particular ethnicity to participate in your project, but you've clicked that box above that says that you don't discriminate, well, any funds that you've used for that activity from CDBG, you'll have to repay. So I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. There is that, in my experience so far, knock on some wood grained colored particle board. I haven't had that experience. But please just make sure that your activities are meeting with all of these requirements before you submit them, because it could be a significant financial liability to your organization if they're used improperly. So again, it should be, it says chief official here. That could be the president of your board, your executive director. If you're not sure who that person might be, again, give me a call, and we'll talk you through it and we'll figure out who that person should be. And again, the deadline for submitting this application is on St. Patrick's Day, Friday, March 17th, before 4 p.m. If I have an email that comes in at 4:01 p.m., we will not accept that application. They are ineligible at that time. So please make sure that you get your applications in before 4 o'clock. All right. Before I let everybody go on with their days and get started on this application, do we have any questions that I might be able to answer for folks right here? And feel free to raise your hand. Just shout it out if for some reason I'm not seeing your raised hand. You should see a little hand at the bottom of your screen that says raise hand, and you're more than welcome to just push that. All right. Yeah, sure. So Kia just texted me and says that she has questions, but she wants to talk to me privately. You were more than happy to do that. I'm gonna put up the slide again that has my contact information on it. Hopefully you guys see that. My information is right there. The information is also on the website. Like I said, is abingtonpa.gov/CDBG, which are just community development block grant. And you're welcome, to address those questions to me directly, to my assistant Melissa, or to our general email address too, which we both look at. We're happy to help people with their applications. So, oh, Angela, you're so welcome. I'm so glad that you were able to make it. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for calling in today and letting us know, that you're interested in applying. This is so exciting. We've got so many great organizations that have been represented today. So again, reach out with questions and make sure that you get those applications in before 4 p.m. on St. Patrick's Day. But have a wonderful Thursday, everybody. Hopefully you all get to get outside on what promises to be a really lovely day before it gets really cold again. Awesome. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you.